Good morning. It's Lisa with Lisa Heal Yourself, and today we are going to talk about the law of assumption and basically your good days, your bad days, and that you cannot serve two masters. So if you're excited to get into this video, give it a thumbs up right now. Hit the subscribe button and let's get into it. When you are really chronically ill, you may only experience bad days. You may only experience symptoms. You may experience these 24/7. And that may feel like your only reality. That at the present moment, is your only reality. The reason why we do all these exercises is because we want to see a shift and we want to get you to feel, which is the law of assumption, feel healed. Feel a different reality. So over time, if you've got a dysregulated nervous system and you're really feeling a lot of symptoms constantly and you cannot see no other way out, you may do a lot of different things, from lifestyle changes to diet to inner work and trauma to somatic work to nervous system tools. So we try all of these different tools, right? Whether they're physical, whether they're emotional, whether they're energetic or spiritual, we're trying all these different tools because right now the reality is reflecting back only one reality, and that's that you are sick, you have symptoms, they won't shift, they won't change. So all these different tools are there to see whether they can make a shift. Right? Is it going to happen in the physical through diet and exercise and lifestyle changes? Is it going to happen in the emotion, the emotional realm for you by feeling your feelings and your emotions and doing emotional work, right? And trauma work and fixing your past, healing your past, forgiving, these types of things. Or is it energetic work, right? Are we looking at moving energy through your body, through energetic tools and spiritual tools? Is it a spiritual shift that you need to make? So using different tools. One of these tools is at some point going to work. And when you feel this shift, you may start to go back and forth between good days and bad days, or symptom periods and non-symptom periods. So if you are symptomatic 24/7, the next part of this video isn't for you. The first part of the video is for you. We need to find something, a tool, whether it's emotional, spiritual, mental, like you can do brain retraining, you can use your mind, body, heart, soul, all the different tools in there. We find something and we keep working and we hold our vision on what we want. I want to heal. I want to heal. I will heal. We hold our affirmation. We hold our intention. And then we use as many tools as we can to find something that works sometimes. Or even if you can't see a direct correlation, that you finally start to get relief periods or good periods. So that is how we know that a shift is happening. So the next part of the video is for those of you who are in the middle of healing. This is the long bit. This is the part that takes such a long time for many people, because you go back and forth between good days, bad days, periods of hell on earth. You cannot even imagine that you had a good day the day before. Relatively symptom-free or symptoms a lot less. And now today they're firing on all cylinders, and you kind of go back and forth, this oscillating back and forth. If that's you, then the rest of this video is for you. This means that you are not healed, you have not turned a corner, but you get good periods, you get relief periods. You see that it's possible sometimes. Although when it's bad, you can't ever even imagine that you've had those periods, and it sort of goes back and forth. Maybe in a 40-60 type way, or 30-70, maybe even in a 50-50 type way. You still haven't turned that corner, but you oscillate back and forth. So if that's you, put a note in the comment. I'd like to know how many people are consistently 24/7, no relief ever, And how many of you go back and forth, stuck in this long, drawn out healing period of really, really, really bad days and okay days, just stuck in that oscillating back and forth period, which is really, really normal as the nervous system starts to try to regulate. It's a normal part of the healing process, even though it can be very, very confusing for people because they think, oh my God, like I just fell back into a setback. Like I don't know what's happening. I'm in a flare. Like you're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It seems to never end, and you really can't pinpoint why you're having a good day or why you're having a bad day or what tool has worked or what tool hasn't worked. It seems like there's no rhyme or reason, yet you sort of go back and forth. It can be very, very confusing, very, very discouraging, seem to go on forever. And really people get lost in this section because they don't know what to do and they don't know why it's happening. Okay, so I really would like to know in the comments, how many of you, are confused about why this happens and whether this happens to you. There's not really a short answer. There's a couple different answers, but I'm going to tell you and then focus on one. So one of the main things here, the main reason why it does this is that your nervous system is trying to regulate. So you have a dysregulated autonomic nervous system and it's trying to regulate. And it's trying to regulate, but it can't quite hold. It can't quite hold. Now, this is what I want to talk about today. One of the reasons why it can't hold when we talk about the law of assumption or living from the end is because you're serving two masters and you can't serve two masters. What does this mean? Okay. You can't live from the illusion or from the certainty one day that you are really sick and you are never going to heal and this is never going to end and you're never going to come out of it. And then on another day, think I'm okay, I'm going to make it, I'm going to be healed, everything's okay, I can do this, I'm definitely healing, I'm going to heal, or I am healed. So if you're going back and forth between those two days, good days and bad days, you're actually flipping back and forth between two states. Okay, take a breath here. Really take this in. So you're going back and forth between two states of being. Not only two states of being, but two states of knowing. Okay, so your intention is wavering on one day and your intention feels natural on one day. Your knowing feels like you are going to heal on one of the days. And then you do not know on the next day. So this is like your state, your belief system, your knowing, your deep knowing inside, which is really your affirmation. Like when we say like, I am healed, I am living from the end, I'm living a life. You're making decisions from being healed. You're living your life from being healed. And when you feel like you're ill or you're sick, you're living your life from feeling sick. You're in different state fields. So you're in different states and your knowing is different. Your belief is different. So you can't quite hold that belief or that knowing that you're going to heal, because when the symptoms arise and when your nervous system can't quite hold it, not only does your body go back into it, and your symptoms begin, but your knowing plummets, right? You go from a victor mentality or someone who feels okay, like everything's going to be okay, to someone who feels again like they're helpless or they're trapped or nothing's ever going to work, like the victim state. And when you go back and forth between these two states, you just don't believe it yet. Your reality is a mirror and it reflects back what is. And when you're living from a victim state through no fault of your own, because your nervous system is trying hard to regulate, and symptoms are going to come as this process happens. But when our emotions and our feelings and our soul get kind of caught up in it, and we're not just able to observe with neutral, just like a witnessing, and see them and watch them and let it go and let it go and let it go and not get tangled up emotionally or spiritually in it, then it can usually pass through more easily. And this is how we have to live when we're in that state, because we don't feel it anymore. We don't feel it because we're feeling symptoms, so we can't feel the state of healing. But we have to hold a neutral state until we, can feel it again, until our good day comes and we can feel it. So when we can't feel it, as just neutral and just witness it and just allow it to be there without getting tangled up in it and really having our emotional state plummet into this victim mentality, then we're really going back and forth, wild swings between two very different vibrational states. And the law of assumption says that everything is a mirror and it reflects back to what is. So when we're coming at life from a victim state and we are tangled up in the feelings again of you are not healed, you're living from a state of being sick, from an illness state, then you have to continue to do that work, climb that ladder every single time. So what we want to try to do when the symptoms come, and know that they will, you're not doing anything wrong. Your nervous system is trying to regulate, and this takes time. So when they come, if we hold a detached state and we don't let it get up in our head emotionally, and we can still maintain our vision, and I am going to heal, maybe not I am healed now, because you cannot feel it, but I'm going to heal. This will pass. Everything's okay. If we can still hold that state and go about our life in a calm fashion, go about our life without succumbing mentally and emotionally to the symptoms, we won't fall as far. So the symptoms might get as bad because they're expecting you to fall as far. But if consistently over time, you don't fall as far mentally and emotionally, then you won't fall as far physically eventually either, because it will mirror, your state that you're holding. Eventually, your nervous system, if you can believe that you are healing and you are healed, your nervous system eventually will catch up and it will regulate, it will heal. If you can hold the belief and the deep knowing and the feeling. But since in chronic illness we cannot ever hold the feeling, because as soon as the symptoms come, the feeling's gone. We feel the illness, right? We feel it physically. But what we're trying to stop from happening is feeling it emotionally and mentally as well. So keeping as much of our energy out of that feeling state as possible. This is the paradox, and this is the hard part. And this is why I say you're serving two masters, is because you're coming at this from the state of illness on 50% of your days. You're coming at it and feeling into the state of health on the other days. But when you have 50% or more of your days that you're feeling, your predominant feeling in your mind, body, heart, and soul is illness, that's what it's reflecting back to. It's reflecting more of that. And so that's why you can get these periods where things get a little bit better, things get worse, things get better, things get worse. Depends, like how much time are you spending in the illness state is how much time you're letting yourself get caught up mentally and emotionally as well in that state. Because the physical, there's a time lag. It's not going to correct automatically. But when we can get our full mind, body, heart, and soul feeling healthy, living a life that feels healed, then we just continue to move in that direction. It's automatic. It's beautiful. But when we allow ourselves, or when we do feel symptoms and sensations and they won't end, and because they won't end and because they won't go away, we make the mistake of breaking that trust with ourselves that says, like, no, I actually am healed. I'm healing. This is just my nervous system. I'm fine. And we start to doubt. And then we start to feel sad. And then we start to feel hopeless and helpless. And we slide into this victim mentality. And there you have it. You're living from the state of illness, which is going to keep reflecting back to you illness. So this is not your fault, but this is a practice. And that's why we use those tools that I said the first part of the video is for, whether they're physical or emotional or spiritual regulation tools, to try to give our nervous system help, right? To try to give our nervous system help. But we must also come at this from the mind, because every illness is also healed in the mind. Do you believe it? Do you actually believe that you can and will heal? And when you believe it deeply, when you know it, and when you hold that intention consistently over time, this is when you see the healing results start to roll in. Or, this is how, when you're holding the illness state, how you can start to see relapses and backslides and everything like that. More, that's what you see in your reality. So when we're talking about knowing and feeling, a lot of people will do like a brain retraining practice where they will use a top-down approach from your mind to your body, saying, like using visualizations, like holding and seeing and manifestation techniques. And you see your future self, you know what you want, you use these visuals, you pattern interrupt, you say, I'm not going to feel like this. And then you use your new visual to try to instill a state. But a lot of people, this doesn't work for, because the deep belief and the state that they're holding is an illness state. And no matter what they try to do, they can't really seem to shift that. The visual isn't powerful enough to shift what's happening. So they give up, which is the mistake. Because the goal is, when you're in that state and you cannot feel it, we're not expecting you to feel it, but you want to stop the backslide mentally and emotionally. And you do that by using as many techniques as you can. Okay, so even if you can't pull yourself out of it with these tools, if you can hold a better state, if you can hold your knowing or hold your belief, you're making progress, even if it doesn't feel that way, right? It's working, even if it doesn't feel that way. Now, sometimes you'll shift into having a good day and you don't know why. You're like, I don't know why, but I feel good. But when you're doing your brain retraining rounds or techniques and visualization, and it's not working, like you still feel the symptoms and feel the illness, and you're doing it, but you haven't really changed your state. So it's not, the visualization isn't working. It's not working as we look at it through the lens of the law of assumption, because you're not in that end state. You haven't successfully changed your state. So it's not working in that regard. You're not living from the end. Now, some people, when they do their brain retraining rounds or whatever, they can make a shift, and then they're actually feeling into their visualization. Now, these people are a lot closer to healing because they can actually change their state using their mind. They can feel it working in real time. So that's an indication that you're even closer, to being able to use these tools to your advantage. But if you don't see results and you're doing your brain retraining and it's not working, then that's just not the thing that's instilling the belief or the deep knowing or the feeling. So it doesn't mean don't do it, because it can help you from sliding backwards in your state. It can help you emotionally and mentally from going all the way down into victimhood, which is really where those wild swings begin, and good days and bad days, and the slide backwards really happens. But if it doesn't work for you over time and you keep doing it and you can never get a state change, but you wake up on some days and you feel good, or you feel okay, or your symptoms are low, you don't know why. It doesn't even seem relevant because you haven't done anything. You weren't just sitting there trying and it just happened automatically. That is still working. So that means whatever you did, however your nervous system did it, it may still be a mystery to you. It doesn't matter. Once you're living from this state, you're not in the illness state. So you are living from the end. Even though you're thinking, oh, I'm just having a bit of a relief. No, you're right in the middle of what people try to get to when they're doing visualizations and manifestations. It fell upon you, unbeknownst to you. You think you're just having a good day or some relief, or you think, oh, thank gosh, this is good, and I can feel differently, and I can get some stuff done, and I'm making progress, and I feel good, and I feel like everything's going to be okay, and I can heal. You're confused because you're like, oh, thank God. I don't know how this happened. I don't know why I'm feeling better. I am. And you just feel good, and you just start to enjoy it. You start to enjoy that relief. Well, you starting to enjoy that relief is you assuming the feeling of that relief. You're living from that moment. You're living from that day. You're having a good day. And you're just enjoying the day. You're just doing the things that you want to do because, thank God, something shifted and something changed. And you don't know how it happened, but it did. You're actually in the state that you have been trying to get yourself into. You're living from the wish fulfilled right now. You're living from the end. You are actually in the law of assumption. So when those moments happen, when those days happen, if we can recognize, hey, this is actually it. This is the state. And then what you need to do is just recognize it and enjoy it and live your life from the state. Really bolster that state up. Like, I am healed. I am healing. I'm amazing. This feels good. Really like repeat those affirmations now to yourself because you're in the state. So now all the affirmations are going to work. Now the visualizations or the goals of the day or the week or the year or things that you want to plan or do. Now when you do them, you're actually doing it from that state. So it's going to work. So a lot of people don't do any other work when they're in this state because they're just enjoying, like doing nothing. Like they're not making forward progress in this state because they're just so happy and they don't know how they got there. They're just so happy, but they're still worried that the other's going to come back, right? They're scared of that other master. They're really not living from that state. So if you really solidify your intention when you're having a good day and you live your life through that intention, and if you notice your nervous system does something, you can recognize, oh, right? Like I see something happening or you're just watching a show or you're watching news or you're scrolling on your phone or you're doing all these bad habits that are just going to steal your energy, right? The news, an argument with your husband, just random, you don't even feel like they matter type things. Don't do them. Not in this state. This is the state where you have to enjoy yourself completely. Every moment you have to feel it. You have to make those plans, book your trips, talk about life, do the things you want. God forbid, stay off the news, stay off your computer, don't scroll, don't get in fights with people, don't waste your energy or lose your energy at all in the state because you actually have captured the energy of the end. And so don't do anything to ruin this state. And when you start to feel the state sliding for whatever reason, consciously do whatever you can at that moment. Not when you're way, way down and the symptoms are raging and you're in victim mentality. That's like the hardest place to get yourself out of. When you notice going from a good day back into a bad day slowly or minor symptoms, that's when we have to remind ourselves we're closer to that state. So that's when we have to really use the state and use the tools and use the techniques and really, really hold that vision and hold that manifestation for ourselves rather than letting it slide. So don't do anything when you're in that state to blow it. I mean, don't live your life in fear like, oh, if I have any stress, I'm going to blow this state. No, you're not. You can still have a stressful life, but don't do things that take and steal your energy. Like a lot of people make the mistake of, I'm not saying don't have stress. You can have stress. Have good stress. Try that exercise or that thing, that sport that you've always wanted to do. Like, do the thing that excites you. Go places, hang out with your friends, do the things. But if you don't really want to do them, then they're going to steal your energy, right? If you're only doing them because you think, oh my God, I'm having a good day. I need to get my to-do list done. I need to quickly do all these things, do the laundry, go grocery shopping, do all these things, like, but they're not things on your heart. They're not things that you really want to do. They're not helping you live from that state of joy and love. And like, so when you're in that state, do things. It's not that you can't have stress. It's not that you can't push yourself, but do the things you want to. Do the things from that state as if you were healed. The things you would want to do, not the things that you have to do, not the things that don't bring you joy. That's only going to bring you back to the other state. Okay, so you can't serve two masters, right? You cannot live from the state of illness and the state of health and flip back and forth, because you have to hold your assumption on one. You either are healing and healed or you aren't, right? So you cannot let your mentality, you cannot let your mind or your emotions slide all the way back. You have to continue to serve your highest intention, which is that you are healed. And on those good days, you need to bask in the energy of the I am healed. And when you are having a bad day, then you are going to have to bask in the energy of, or try to hold the state of, I will heal, right? Because you can't feel it in that moment, but we're still holding our intention, and we are not letting the sensations dictate our emotional state. We are not letting the symptoms and the sensations dictate our mental state. They can only dictate our physical state, right? And we can still look at that through a detached lens of not getting immersed down into it, so that everything starts to fall and waver. We want to hold our intention and our state clearly. If you've never really understood before why you go from good days to bad days, like, you just think they're good days and bad days, and you don't realize you're living from two different beliefs. You're living with two different intentions. You're living from two different states. You are trying to heal 50% of the time while you're holding an illness state, which isn't going to work. We still have to hold the state and the intention of being healed, even when we feel like we are not. And we have to use our tools and techniques to help get us out. And when we finally get spit out, even if it doesn't correlate to any tool that we've used, it has worked. It has kind of built up and worked. Take advantage of that state. You're in the state. Now you can do all the things that you wanted to do when you were in the state. You don't just let yourself fall back into the other state as easy. You hold this state. You work with the state. You practice this state. You get the feeling of living from this state. You really immerse yourself in the feeling. You remind your nervous system what it feels like. What it feels like to live from the state of feeling like everything's going to be okay. And like you can heal, like you're going to heal, like you're on your road to being healed. And that's the state that you really want to dial in. And know that even if you're doing everything right, it's a process. Your nervous system regulating is a process. And it's going to take time, particularly if you've been living with the pattern of illness for such a long time. You do have to break these patterns. You have to do pattern interrupts. You have to try different things to break that state and to get into, to break the patterns and retrain your brain, because this is a well-worn path that you've gone down. So even if you're doing everything right, you are going to still get symptoms and sensations. That is part of the healing process. And part of the healing process is knowing that you're still okay and believing it like deeply and being able to hold the other state longer and pulling yourself over. And when you're having a good day, when you are in the state of feeling healed or feeling like everything's okay, really relish in it. Like, use that time wisely to be who it is and to live from the energy of what it is that you want and who it is that you are, right? Because this is the day, this is the time, whether you're trying to get it or not. This is your time to have those breakthroughs, to have all those changes. You know, this is when you can have those big shifts. When you're in those states, you can have those aha moments, those perspective shifts. You can teach your nervous system that you're okay. This is when all the good stuff happens on the good day. And a lot of us just are like, oh, you know, thank God it's a bit of a good day. Okay, I can just rest, relax. And then you do the same old, same old. You scroll on your phone. You have those arguments with people in your life. Like, you're not using it to your advantage to shift your energy when you're in really what's a magic state, which is you're in the state that you really want to be in and stay in and relish in. And you have to really train your mind and your nervous system to see this state, to believe this state, to live from the end of this state, to hold this state, to blow this state up, to make it bigger, to find ways to bring joy in and laughter and fun and ease and all the things that you want into your life. This is your time. This is your time. So don't waste the good days and don't fall apart on the bad days, right? Hold your intention deeply during both days. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you really learned something from it. If you did, give it a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.